I'm here with Cornelia, co-founder and CEO of xounds. We have just attended the launch party of the new app, and congratulations, it was an amazing evening.
Thank you.
And the app looked really good. Can you share some insights as to what inspired you to create this app, and what was the gap you saw in the audio erotic space?
Yeah, so we were inspired, to be honest, by what's happening in Berlin in the sex positive scene and also in the queer party scene. We've seen how people could actually explore their sexuality in a completely new way, and they could do this in safer spaces. So we had in real life safer spaces that were being created with certain rules and certain awareness tools to actually make people feel safe to explore something they haven't explored about themselves. So it's kind of like a self-learning journey that we've seen being put in place in these like positive spaces here in Berlin. And my co-founder and me, we were part of these scenes, and we really could rediscover ourselves in this. And we were like, wouldn't it be amazing to have something like this in a digital world? And we were really just looking for a product like this, or a platform where we could also feel safe enough to share something and have the opportunity to stay anonymous. And this is how we actually realized, well, with audio you could do that, so we were looking more into the audio field, and then we realized there is nowhere you could just upload user-generated content and have that shared on an audio erotica platform. And it's being checked for consent, it's being checked for, is that person who's recording it really that person who gave the consent, and so on. So we were like, hey, why is that not out there yet? We need that space. And then we were like, okay, maybe it's not just us, maybe it's more people who want that. So we created flyers and went out to Berlin Pride and asked around 100 people, what do you think about audio erotica? Have you heard about it before? And what do you think about a platform where you don't only listen to erotic stories, erotic conversations, actual sex, but also can be part of it?
Yeah, this is more than just erotic stories.
Exactly, yeah. So with xounds, we allow people to upload and share whatever they want and whatever they need for their fantasies in the intimacy part. So it doesn't even have to be very sexual. You know, sex or intimacy is such a broad term. So people can decide what turns them on. And if it turns them on, probably there will be somewhere else in the world who likes the same. And at the moment, we just don't find this kind of content. Everything is kind of, you know, following the same stereotypes. And a lot of what we've learned is kind of based on these stereotypes that we've learned through the mainstream porn and so on. So what we can do here in places in Berlin, and what people can do in other sex-positive places in other cities, is you can unlearn what we've learned from porn and rediscover what turns you on, what is really tickling your fantasy, what is really tickling your sexuality, basically, and how broad can that look like for yourself. So what we wanted with xounds is a platform where people also can upload all kinds of audios, stay anonymous while doing this, and allow people to kind of have an insight into their worlds, and that way also explore their own worlds again.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this audio erotica is completely new.
Yeah.
Before I read about your launch and your event, I kind of vaguely knew it existed, but it's nothing I have ever crossed.
Yeah.
So I have read a little about it, and from what I read, it's a thing that is really taking off. Mm-hmm. And how do you see this market evolving?
Yeah.
I mean, when you make this app, you must have some belief that this market will evolve.
Absolutely. So what we're seeing already are a good few apps that are out there for audio erotica, and it's amazing. They're paving basically exactly the way for what we're doing with xounds as well. They're really good in producing pre-written stories and sharing more kind of audio stories recorded in studios, or some of them also offer like AI created content. And it's interesting because we see that a lot of users are actually using them not instead of porn, but on top of it. So it's just like an alternative when you want to have a little bit more of relaxed inspiration. So that is something that we've seen. There's definitely a market for it, and the market is growing. More and more people are aware of audio erotica, and they're trying this out out on top of their normal routine for erotica, basically. So this is the one thing. There is a market and it's growing, and what isn't there properly at the moment is user-generated, safe content upload platforms. So we will be the first to do that, and it's exciting to see how the market will react to that.
Yeah, the user-generated content is your thing.
It's our USP, together with combining it with like a consent-first design.
Yes.
Yeah.
How, I mean, in the process of launching this app, how have you made sure that you have content? Did you have a group of beta testers who have been uploading content, or there needs to be something for people to
absolutely
to get into the app and
for people to get into the app, but also for us to test if people really like this, right?
Yeah.
So what really is different from us to the other platforms is our audios don't have to be at the highest quality, right? It's like amateurs recording themselves, and sometimes only with a phone, sometimes with an attached microphone. So the quality differs quite a lot from what other platforms and audio erotica already have. So we needed to test that as well. So we have around 50 test audios, and we actually got them again from the community that actually sparked the idea. So we reached out in sex-positive dating communities, we reached out in sex-positive communities, that meet in clubs and certain things. And people were like, they loved the idea and they wanted to be part of it from an early day on. And so some of them created audios for us. Some of them already had some audios and they shared them with us, and we could go out and test them on real people.
Yeah, people are starting
Need to say bye to a few people.
Yeah. Wait. The beta testers. I mean, have they also been part of uploading videos or just listening to videos? I mean, did you no. What I'm trying to ask is was it successful to engage with your test group and have them use the app and upload stuff as well as listening?
Yeah, so it's really funny because a lot of the listening testing we actually did at like typical, very clean startup events.
Yes.
So imagine us being there next to the next mindfulness app, or next to a B2B app for lawyers to make their work easier. So this is where we were placed because we were in a scholarship part at that time. So with all these other startups, we were lined up and we had our little booth there and we had our roll-ups. We were very visible basically. And of course I was pitching as well, and I was pitching the idea, and then we had so many people coming up to us. So this was actually a community that was not necessarily queer or not necessarily sex positive, but we wanted to, because eventually what we want to do is reach everyone with this and also test how do normal people react to this idea. So they loved the listening part and they gave us so much feedback, what they liked about the audios and what they didn't like. And it also proved one of our hypotheses that it's so diverse. You cannot say this is an audio everyone loves, because when you ask 10 people, 2 people will say this, 2 people will say that. It's just really different. Everyone has their specific taste. So that was really interesting. And then with the recording, we did reach out to a few communities. So for example, we were part of a few events of a kinky reading community that is based here in Berlin. Actually in this shop, there were in real life events and people would read out their smut stories. And we recorded always a collective poem that was created during the night. And we also had some specials sometimes. So for example, for Halloween, we were dressed as priests and priestess. And we went into the changing room, had like a little cover. And then we asked them to tell us their dirty, kinky secrets that they want to basically confess to us. And we recorded that as well, because like one other way to use xounds is also not only for yourself and for your solo or a couple play, but also as a community who likes to share certain stories. And you will be able to not only share with the whole community of xounds, but also with certain groups at some point.
Wow. Well, we'll make sure that at least our users in Denmark get the knowledge of your app. I have one last question. You talked a lot about AI in the presentation earlier. Can you share some insights as to, I mean, you said that you don't use AI to create the stories, but what role does AI play in the app?
Yeah, so we're using AI for 2 reasons. On one hand, as I already mentioned, before you upload anything to our app, you have to give your spoken consent. And this is where the first time we're using AI to really check in real life time, is it really a consent sentence that we've shown you that you've read out, or did you say something else, or did we hear another voice maybe pushing you to do something?
So we're checking if they're not cheating.
If they're not cheating, and if like there's no abusiveness that we can already hear. So this is what the AI does in the first part, and then when you're done, like okay, so you did read out the sentence and you sound like a voice speaking on their own. You don't say any stop word in between or anything. Then you're going to then you're only allowed to upload anything. And then when you upload the audio file. Then we check again with certain markers that we have from your consent audio file. Is that the same voice that has consented, or is there suddenly another voice that has never consented?
So you're not uploading another person's
exactly
audio.
Without asking them.
Okay. So this is the consent again, and making sure that it's a safe environment.
Yeah, and this is where we use the AI technology for.
Yeah.
So we're basically using AI not in the typical way how it's done with a lot of apps at the moment, that we're generating something, but kind of the opposite. We are checking that it's really real and that it's actually consensual.
Well, thank you for sharing, and good luck with the app.
Thank you so much. Thank you.